Hello, and welcome to the Streets Will Never Forget podcast. With me, Callum, known as Trail. I've got with me Callum, known as War, but unfortunately, I haven't got with me Rob, known as Rob. He's currently somewhere in his car, broken down. I don't even know where he is, but that means unfortunately he can't make it today. But we have got his input, so that'll help. How are we today, War?
Yeah, not too bad, pal. Not too bad. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
It has been a little while, yeah. Good to be back, obviously, with the Euro special. First question I'm going to hit you straight off with, War. Is it coming home?
Is it coming home? Probably not, to be honest.
But, for fuck's sake. God.
I'm going to stay... No, but I'm still going to say it's coming home for the time being. Even though...
It's coming home.
Even though I don't think it will. Even though I don't think it will. You've got to say it. You've got to say it, haven't you?
It's still coming home.
Is it coming home for you, Trail? Still coming home?
It's still coming home, but if it doesn't come home, let it be known that I thought there was a chance it might not come home. It might get lost on its way.
I mean, I feel like as the podcast is out, I probably think we might have lost to the Germans, but we'll see.
Out, yeah.
It might be a bit too late, but hopefully not.
2-1. I'm saying 2-1 England.
It's coming home.
So obviously the main part of this podcast we're going to talk about is basically our best English performances and our worst English performances. So I'll start off with mine, if that's okay with you, War.
Yes, are we going for good or bad first?
We'll go for good first.
Sound, bring it on. Let's see what we've got.
So my three are Luke Shaw, Jack Grealish, and Bukayo Saka.
Interesting. I'm incredibly surprised that you've gone for Luke Shaw, to be honest, but I like it. What's your reason?
Well, obviously, Bukayo Saka and Jack Grealish, obviously a little bit more difficult to explain, obviously, with the amount of appearances they've had. But just the two of them, when you see them on the pitch, it's completely different England. Bukayo Saka, I mean, obviously, he's been named man of the match 3 times in his 5 England appearances he's had. It's just incredible what he contributes to the team, getting forward, that spark. Grealish, kind of a similar role. Obviously, we can talk at no end about Grealish winning free kicks and whatever and that sort of thing, but he's just constantly putting forward, giving England that attacking presence. Because I feel a lot of the time, especially when watching us against Scotland, we were sort of just a bit meandering. It wasn't really, there was never really a that shock England factor or that feeling that England could go and dominate the game.
Oh yeah, we never looked likely to have a shot on target, let alone score. Exactly,
and I think sort of Grealish would have changed that. I think Saka would have changed that. I think they've both been fantastic in the appearances they've had. Well, Saka's only had 1. But Grealish has just been, incredible. Luke Shaw, obviously I'm not a big fan of Luke Shaw as far as the season goes, hence he was in my overrated team of the season. But just for England, he just looks solid. In relation to one of my other the ones I'd liked less, and who's disappointed me, I'll explain a bit more when that one comes up. But Luke Shaw, I feel, has just been, the most solid person defensively for us. I think we were a bit worried defensively with Maguire being injured, that maybe we'd struggle a bit, but Luke Shaw, he's got forward. I've seen him do better, I think, for England when I've seen him play than I have seen him play for Man United, and I've just really liked him. I'm surprised about it, but I've just really liked him. Obviously, the overrated team this season was just whether he was overrated or not, and I think he has been overrated during the season. But as far as this England tournament goes, the Euros goes for England, he's been one of the best players for me.
Fair enough.
How are you feeling about those 3, Wall? Any disagreements?
No, not really. I mean, I think at the minute with the way obviously we've played, and obviously we've only played 3 games, I think it's hard to really be able to contest any of these. I don't think. I think maybe one of mine there might be a bit of a debate about if it is a bad, but I think for good, again, I think I picked 3 solid picks. I don't think there'll be any arguments, to be honest.
Go on, hit me with your 3, Wall.
So I have also gone for Grealish.
Thank you, mate. Exactly.
Again, I mean, the way all the England fans wanted him to come on, wanted him to play, and I think he's shown exactly why we parked him up as much as we have. When he's on the ball, he's calm, he's collective. He's always looking for the half turn. He's always wanting the ball, trying something, which against teams that probably defend quite deep, like we did against Scotland and then Czech Republic, were obviously quite a tight unit as well. You need someone who could do that, and I think Grealish does that perfectly for us. And I think his calmness and his ability on the ball to be great against Germany. So hopefully he does get the start. Number 2, much like you said, overrated team. Obviously, I went for Mings and my overrated team. I think there was all the worry, wasn't there, about Maguire being injured?
Yeah.
You know, how are we going to be defensively? Obviously, Mings has come in and put in two really good performances. Again, we're not playing. You know, we're not talking about the greatest teams, but Croatia, really good side. I think they're a bit of a shadow of the team they were 3 years ago in the World Cup, but nevertheless, still very good players. You know, Modric, Perisic, Kovacic, just to name a couple of really big players for them. And then against Scotland, you know, again, not a great side, but they've got the physicality of Shea Adams and Dykes is it up front. You know, different challenge for him, but he won every ball, looked strong, wasn't bullied by them. So I think he's done really well. I think he's unfortunate, really, to miss out with Maguire returning. But I think, obviously, Maguire and Stone's the better pairing. I think they complement each other. You know, they cover each other's weaknesses a lot better than, say, Mings and Maguire would if they played together. Finally, but this is... Sorry?
I was going to say, there's that thing, wasn't there, that we've had I remember that first Calvin Phillips performance. Obviously, it was really good. But then, of course, really you've got the alternative of, do you keep him in or do you resort back to the original team? Do you know, the team that you would have picked? And I think that's a problem for Mings, isn't it? That he can put in a great performance, but it's going to take some big bollocks to turn around and say, well, I'm not going to play Maguire now. I'm going to continue to play Mings.
Well, exactly. And I think Maguire just he has the obviously the abilities of Mings defensively, but then he also has, I don't know if you saw it a couple of times against Czech Republic, just that killer pass. You know, he's able just to thread a ball through from, like, you know, the halfway line all the way, you know, through it over to Kane. But yeah, I think he's been very unlucky to be left out now. Maguire's back, but those 2 games he's proved that actually, you know, he could be a very good option for England. And then for my final one, I've gone for big Jordan Pickford.
Okay. So Jordan Pickford was my 4th one that I didn't go for in the
yeah. Well, again, you know, there was a big debate, wasn't it, before the Euros, who's going to start in net? Yeah. Obviously, I would have gone for Pope all day long, obviously, because of injury. That option was, you know, sort of put away, and then obviously I think it was quiet. There was going to be no doubt who was going to start. You know, Dean Henderson possibly could have had a shout, but I don't think he's got the... I'm trying to think of the word, but like not the concentration, but I think he can be a bit erratic at times. You know, he's never gone to a big tournament before. You know, I don't think it would have been right. Yeah, I don't think it would have been the right time to throw him in. But Pickford, he's looked really assured, to be fair. He's made a couple of really big saves. I think the one against Scotland.
Yeah.
And there's the other one against Czech Republic as well. You know, we've not conceded in the group stage, which, again, we're not playing great teams. But nevertheless, you know, the defence was apparently our biggest weakness going into this tournament. It's come out to be probably one of our biggest strengths.
Yeah. And
I think we can't deny how actually well he's played. He's looked really commanding. You know, his distribution's really good as well. I think that's something that obviously puts him ahead of Pope slightly. I think in Southgate's books, you know, he can really ping a pass. I think that really helps us going forward. Well, the little going forward we've actually done so far this tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's looked assured. A couple of really big saves. Not really looked likely to make a mistake. I'm sure there's time, but I think he's proved a lot of doubters wrong so far.
Yeah, I mean, if we just on that note, well, Rob sent his 3 through. He's gone for Pickford as well. So we've all thought of Pickford. So he's clearly put in a good performance, because I don't think any of us would have picked Pickford for our number 1. So that says a lot. Rob's also gone for Mings along with you.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's gone for Sterling as well. Who I mean, don't get me wrong, he's our only goal scorer. So,
well, he is. He is our only goal scorer. But
the goal he got, you know, the one at the end of the Saka play, you know, Saka was unlucky that the ball went over his head. The first goal against Croatia, I suppose, not bad. But I don't know if
he tried his best to miss, but
yeah, he's been okay, but I wouldn't put him in my top 3 anyway. So moving on, Wall, who's the 3 that disappointed you?
Well, I'm pretty sure you know what my number 1 is. Harry Kane.
Go on.
I've gone for Harry Kane.
Kane.
I do feel sorry for him because he is the focal point. He's the golden boy, and he got the golden boot in the World Cup, especially the way he's played for Spurs this season. But I'm not sure what's going on with his performances. He's not looked at it. He's not got that turn of pace. He's not got that extra yard. He's only, I think he's had one shot on target now in 3 games, which for him is,
to me, he's looked like an absolute donkey at times.
It's shocking, really. Well, I think he has, and I think the problem is it's maybe the way we play. We expect him to drop deep a lot, but then we also want him in the box, which can go against him. But then you look at his Spurs performances this season. He was top goal scorer and top assists, so he's capable of doing both at the same time. I would argue he's probably not got the players around him, as I move on to, that are probably pulling their weight enough to help him. But nevertheless, you expect Harry Kane to take his chances, make chances himself. Sometimes he can win games on his own, and obviously we've not seen that so far.
Do you think the transfer speculation might be affecting him?
Well, half the bloody team have got bloody transfer speculation, and they always do this. The British media, why cause problems? Why aggravate players, unsettle players when we're at major tournaments? Harry Kane's meant to be our best player, and he's not showing why City are trying to pay 100 million for him.
Yeah, I think it's like the big few players, Saka and Grealish are another two. They've really put the pressure on, haven't they? And you've got to remember, Saka is only he's still a teenager. He doesn't need that pressure, especially at a big tournament. And Grealish, somebody who no disrespect to any Aston Villa fans out there, but he doesn't play for a big club. It's not like he's got these big expectations on him week in, week out, for a massive club challenging for silverware. But suddenly now we're expecting him to deal with all this pressure and be the one that all the fans want him to be, and they all want Grealish to, go on and get past 4 or 5 players and slot it in, etc. And I think I agree with you massively that a lot of the time England's downfall is the pressure from, the public, the media.
Oh, it is. I mean, you only have to look, you only have to look at the Euros. That's 08. Not 08. We didn't even qualify for 08. That's what I mean. The 04 Euros, the 06 World Cup, the 2010 World Cup. These are all competitions where we'd won it before we'd even started, apparently, and then we go in and put these dreadful performances.
We needed a Matthew Upson score.
Well, exactly, and hopefully we'll get them the big call up for Tuesday. Hopefully 2-2 against Germany for big Matthew Upson.
Who's your second player, Wall?
So I've gone against what Rob said. I've put Sterling in here, to be honest. I know obviously he's our only goal scorer so far in the tournament, but realistically, apart from those 2 kicks of the ball, what else has he really provided? He's nowhere near the form he was last season. Last season he was absolutely electric, deadly. He scored 20 odd goals. If we'd had the Euros last season, I think it could have been his tournament. We could have been talking about him winning all the the individual awards because he was that good. But I get it. I think Southgate, he trusts him. He relies on him in some aspects. But I think when Kane's not firing like he's not at the minute, and you've got Sterling next to him, who's also in a stinker of form. He's had nowhere near as good a season for City this year. I think you've already got 2 players there who aren't at it. And it puts a lot of pressure on Saka when we played him. Foden. He's not been as electric as I think a lot of people were. A lot of people were expecting. He's not been bad. He's not been bad at all. But I don't think he's set the world on fire like everyone thought he was going to do.
No.
But when you've got two of your front 3 not really working well, obviously I think it's shown by the lack of goals and lack of chances we've actually really created so far. But obviously, if he's scoring, and that's what at the end of the day, that's it. Realistically, the only stat that really matters. Him putting the ball in the back of the net. If you continue to do that while playing not well, then fair play to him. Let's keep him in. But I think when there's options, there's a lot of other wide options we've got, and I just think we're probably missing out on trying something else. But I mean, obviously that follows into my third player. My third player, I've gone for Rashford. I was struggling for a third player, to be honest.
Yeah,
I do feel sorry for Rashford because I think he played so many games for United this season. It's clear he needs some form of surgery or he's injured and he just needs a break. But obviously he's not getting it. But when he's come on, he's not made any impact. I know he's had probably maybe about 40 minutes between the two games he's come on, if that, maybe a little less. But he's not. When you're making those substitutions up front, especially, you're taking off the likes of Sterling, Foden's coming off, Kane's coming off. You've got to make an impact. You've got to cement your place. You've got to make the difference. And he's not. And he's not really provided anything in the little bits he's played this so far. And I can't see him really getting much of a chance if going forward in the tournament because he's not provided anything.
We've got to understand that if Gareth Southgate is having that conversation of Harry Kane isn't delivering, it's on you. It's a big pressure. I think Rashford's a great player, and I think his time may come, but I think he's another one we expect a little bit more of.
Definitely, I think. Like I say, I think the problem is his fitness. But unfortunately, obviously, at the minute, it's just game after game after game, and there's really no respite for him. And when you're a big player for Manchester United, and you're getting called to England squad, you've just got to deal with it, haven't you, really? But it's clearly impacted him negatively because he's not putting in good performances.
Well, there's someone who, obviously, a very young Englishman playing for Man United who got called up for a big tournament, has said recently that he would put Rashford in his starting 11 for the team against Germany, didn't he? Not for any of us to doubt Wayne Rooney's football knowledge.
Oh, but, yeah, I didn't see that,
yeah. It's a big decision. So they're your three. I've gone for Harry Kane, and I don't think we need to add any more to that. It's pretty much echoing everything you've said. It's Harry Kane. As much as I dislike Harry Kane for Tottenham, when he plays for England, I expect him to score the fucking goals he scores for Tottenham, but he hasn't. My second one is Kyle Walker, because
really,
I think he's had some absolute dreadful performances. I think I've seen him play especially against Croatia. He was playing misplaced ball after misplaced ball. I think he's, I would have put him as my number one choice. Considering the options that were there available, I would have put him as my number one choice. But I think he's just been so off the boil. I do like him, but I haven't rated him at all, especially when I compare him to Shaw, what he's done for in his position for England. I think the two of them, obviously, I don't know how well they work together or communicate or whatever, but I've thought Kyle Walker's just been complete. He's not been there sometimes. He's really not been paying attention. That's how I've seen it anyway. Like I said, I do like him. I do like him as a player, and he would have been my choice, and I like him for City, and I think he adds, on his best form, he does add something, very least his pace, but I really haven't been happy with him for this tournament. He disappointed me.
Fair enough. I think he's been all right defensively, but yeah, I think you're right with the they're going forward with misplaced passes. Maybe not concentrating 100% of the time. But yeah, I just think all our wide players have just been disappointing.
There's obviously when we talk about these three best players and three worst players, there's people, again, like we did with our overrated and underrated teams. There's more people you could think of and think, oh, they've not been very good. They've not been very good. But these people that stood out to me, and I know Kyle Walker in two performances has stood out to me as somebody who has, he made a really bad defensive mistake against Croatia. It just made me think, oh God, it's only like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in. And, this is our tournament. And for somebody like Kyle Walker, obviously, who's won the league this season,
the
Champions League final, etc., I expected a lot more. My third choice, this may seem a bit harsh, but I'm just going off based on what I was expecting of him and what he's delivered, and that's Declan Rice. I don't know, I kind of thought he seemed like someone to me who he doesn't feel the pressure. He soaks it up. He's okay with the adoration and stuff like that. Again, I know he's one of those players like Foden, like Saka, that like Grealish, that had this pressure put on him. But I kind of thought he could have done more. And I don't know if he'd be my first choice now, but I know there's a few options going through and stuff like that. And he's been subbed off for, I think Henderson came on for him, didn't he? And I'm not Henderson's biggest fan either, but I just don't know. He's just disappointed for me. He's not shone like he has done for West Ham. And I don't just mean that going forward, because I know going forward he's got an element for him as well. I just think defensively he's not shone for me. Now I know we've spoke about England's defensive record and they've done really well, not conceded, etc. So maybe he's doing something that I'm not noticing. It's part of the team, the way it's working. I don't know, but I've just been disappointed with him, really.
You see, yeah, I mean, I think I'd argue that he's probably playing a bit of a unrecognised role.
The James Milner role.
Yeah, maybe the James Milner role. Yeah, I thought before the tournament started, I thought Phillips would have had that role, the sort of sitting a lot deeper, not necessarily going forward too much. I thought Declan Rice would play the box to box. Well, it's been the other way around, hasn't it? I think Phillips has been bombing forward and blowing back, and Rice has been a bit more conservative. Which, if that's, and it's clearly, we've not conceded, we've not played too badly in the middle of the park, so I think it must be working. But yeah, I just think he's probably been a bit of an unsung role at the minute. Whereas I would have probably swapped him in Calvin Phillips round, but obviously you can't deny Phillips' performance against Croatia. So I think Gareth's got it right, to be honest.
Obviously, again, back to Rob. Rob's only named one of his worst three players, and he's got Harry Kane. So
well, I'm glad that we've agreed on something.
Yeah, because obviously I don't know how you feel about. I'm not going to tell him what you said about Sterling, but I'm not sure how he'd react.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Kane, obviously, I mean, we can't talk more about Kane. He's just disappointed, as all I suppose. He's meant to be the talisman, isn't he? But he's just disappointed. Obviously, so concluding that bit of it, then, I've just got a couple more questions for you, quick fire ones before we finish up. So the first one is England-Germany. What's the score going to be?
Oh God, I don't know, to be honest, mate.
What does your heart say?
Well, my heart says that we'll go and we'll beat them.
What 2-0?
2-0.
2-0. 2-0. Not even going to concede.
Well, I just think, you know what Germany are like. They can be poor, but then it's Germany. They've got the players to come into a game and they wallop Portugal 4-2 and then can only draw with Hungary. And they were lucky to get the draw. They lost to France, but then France drew to Hungary. And there's so many what ifs and
weird group that was. A weird group.
You don't know what Germany you're going to get. Hopefully, they turn up and they play like donkeys. But although they've got some great players, but I think if we can get a couple of wide players, balls down the line, the likes of Rudiger, Hummels aren't going to get close to the likes of Sterling. And if we play someone like Saka again on the, somebody explosive on the wing, just be able to get past and knock it into the box and someone be in there just to tap it in. I think that's probably the way that we're going to need to play. And hopefully, I think if we do it like that and they play like they did against Hungary, I think we can win quite easily. What do you think?
I would say 2-1 England. If I'm talking about my heart thinking, I don't think England will be able to go. I think the pressure will get a lot to England. I mean, one thing that has stuck with me, I can't remember who was that said it. It's a former German player said, we don't see England as rivals because England haven't been there with us. We see Argentina as rivals, France as rivals. We don't see England as a rival because they've not got to the level that we have in recent years.
I mean, that is true.
I can't remember who it was that said it, but and I remember thinking, he's probably right. I mean, England probably think of this way more than Germany do. Germany probably aren't seeing it as this big rivalry as much as we are. So
I feel like England, Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think we might play it up a bit too much, and I just hope that we don't, because my heart is saying 2-1 England, but my head is saying it could be a 3-0 Germany if Germany turn up. But like I say, I'm positive we can do it. Not that we will, but that we can do it. If England do beat Germany, can they go all the way?
Well, I think they can definitely get to the final.
Yeah.
Ukraine, Sweden, the winner of that, we'll play the winner of that game. That's surely a shoe-in, and an easy win, an easy ticket to the next round. Realistically, it's going to probably end up being the Netherlands, isn't it? The round after that, which could be a challenge, but I don't think there's anyone there who's terrifying. Depay, obviously, their key man, but I don't think there's anyone there who really would look at that team sheet and think, shit, we're not, I think the biggest game at the minute is the Germans.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
but
I think the biggest game up until the final will be the Germans. I don't think anyone there can be bigger than that. And then the final could be, I mean, France, I suppose, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, there's a big game tonight, isn't there? I mean, this does lead me on to my next point, actually. Who do you think will win it all if it's not England?
it's a tough one, really. I would have probably said Italy, but then judging against
Last
Austria
night.
yesterday, Austria, were made a really good account of themselves. They played really well, and they're probably quite unlucky, seeing that they had that disallowed goal in the normal time.
Yeah.
So if that had gone in and it counted, it would have been, they would have won. But I still think Italy. I think they are just very defensively sound. I mean, that goal they conceded yesterday was the first one in over 1,000 minutes of football.
Yeah.
And to go forward, they do look dangerous. They've got some really good players. They've got a lot of options as well, I think. But then, you can't deny France the way they look. I mean, I know they've not necessarily played amazingly in the group stage, but they've got a lot of gears to go through, I think. And I think we'll probably see that going into the next few games.
Well, my pick has been the same as it has been from day one. Is going to be Belgium. I think if Lukaku hits top form, I think it'd be difficult to say no to Belgium. But then again, obviously, by the time this goes out, Belgium may already be out. It's a big game against Portugal.
I know,
Portugal again, hit and miss, because I liked Portugal. And when you look at the team sheet, you think Portugal got a great side. But then I look at that game against was it Hungary, and it was 0-0 for 80 minutes. And you think, like, you can't. I mean, maybe Italy again. Obviously, took Austria. Austria took Italy all the way, but I don't know. I think Belgium, if the good Belgium turns up, I think you've got obviously Hazard's, Lukaku, De Bruyne, just to name a few of these players, arguably some of the best in their position in the world. So it's difficult to bet against them for me, but that's exactly why I slapped a tenner on them. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one either way. I don't think anyone can solidly say there's a definite favourite at the moment.
Oh no, I think you get like one set of games, and you think, right, these guys are definitely going to win this here, and then the next game you're like, oh right,
Group of death is it all, doesn't it?
Well, France beat Germany straight away, right? Looks like France look unbeatable here. Then they draw with Hungary, and then they draw with Portugal, and it's like, well, Italy have a flawless group stage and then only just scrape past Austria.
Yeah. Hungary very unlucky, I think. If things
it would have been brilliant if they'd got through.
One goal had gone the other way. One goal had been different. Two goals been different. They would have been through. But it's enough for them, I suppose, to go into that group and make such a good account of themselves, because no one would have given them an ounce of hope before that group.
Oh no, not at all.
So that's in conclusion. Obviously, we've named what we think of England so far. We'll do another one of these, I'm sure, by the end of the tournament. Hopefully Rob will be able to join us and give our reflection on it and our favourite performances, least favourite performances. And of course, we'll be celebrating that England Euros win, the first international England win since 1966. So thank you very much for joining me all. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for everyone that's listening. Obviously, I know we've had a little bit of a break, but we are looking to get back into it as soon as possible, as soon as our schedules realign and Rob's back in the car and back home. But please do leave comments below and just let us know what you think, basically, and who you think's been good, who you think's been bad, because it really does mean a lot to us. So thank you very much, Will.
Cheers. Thank you. It's coming home, boys.
Coming home.
It's coming home.